Hello and welcome to another episode of the Yinning at Life podcast. I'm your host, Kimberley Roberts with Soulful Yin, and I am a Yin Yoga teacher and reflexology therapist and a mindset shifter. So, welcome to this episode. Today, I want to talk about reflexology and how it's so much more than just a foot massage. Because I will tell you, when I first started, like almost 15 years ago, doing reflexology, the first probably 3 to 5 years of working in that industry, I was basically just educating people on like, why is this more than a foot massage? Because everybody was like, oh, you're just going to massage my feet. And I'm like, well, yes, but I'm like, there's way more happening than just your feet being massaged. So let's dive in to this episode. Okay, so reflexology, what is it like on a broad sense? So basically, reflexology is where you are stimulating reflex points on the feet, also known as the tip of the nerve ending on the feet. They're also in the hands and in the ears. And basically, what you're doing is you're stimulating these nerve endings, these reflex points, and it's sending blood through the nerves into the related area of the body to help improve the circulation throughout the body, to improve function of that related area of your body, and just to provide overall balance or homeostasis. That's basically it in a nutshell. Now, the thing is, this is the super cool part, is that we have over 72,000 nerve endings in our feet. And so every nerve ending is linked to something, like your eyes, your elbow, your ears, like all your digestive organs, like everything has a point on the foot. This is where I work. I mean, I do a little bit hand reflexology, but really my jam is all about foot reflexology. So when you're pressing on a point, I want you to kind of think of like the point that you press on the foot. It's kind of like, you're turning on a tap at a hose, right? The source. And as you turn that tap on, which is basically like you're stimulating the point by pressing on it, you're starting to get the blood and energy flowing through it, right? Just like water would flow through a hose. Now, what happens when there's an imbalance or there's injury or there's illness, something that is out of whack in that related area of the body? What happens is there's often kinks along the nerve. So think of the kinks as like kinks in a garden hose, okay? So when there's a kink in a garden hose, water doesn't flow very easily. Maybe it just stops right at the kink or it kind of just like trickles all the way through. But basically, what you're doing is unkinking all the kinks and getting the blood to flow properly and nourishing that area of the body. Okay. Because if there's anything that you know about your body, blood is meant to continuously move. When it's stagnant, then that is when we have the potential for disease or illness or injury, right? Like something of that sort. So that is basically what reflexology is in a nutshell. It's pretty simple, actually, but it's super cool. Now, are your feet being massaged? Yes. So that is kind of like an icing on the cake. But I'll tell you that probably like 95% of my patients that come to see me because there's something in their body that's out of alignment that they're looking to address. Okay. And they're less interested in what's happening with the feet. Now, I do have some patients that come to me because they have feet related problems, right? High arch, low arch, plantar fasciitis, like bunions, right? Like there's all kinds of issues. And I certainly address those. But those patients that come to see me for those types of concerns often start to realize, wow, man, like there's way more happening here than just my feet getting a good like hour of like love, right? And so, what are the types of things that people actually come to see me for if they're not coming to see me for their feet? Everything: digestive issues, hormonal imbalances, sleep, stress, anxiety. I will tell you that probably for almost 10 years out of my 15-year career so far, I spent working with cancer patients in a cancer hospital. So I was helping cancer patients improve the quality of their life, not like curing cancer, right? But just improving the quality of their life while they were undergoing, whether it was conventional treatment, say like chemotherapy or radiation, or whether they were choosing alternative methods instead. I was basically just supporting their body and their mind and their nervous system during treatment. So, what would you expect in a reflexology treatment? Well, first of all, I want to tell you that it is not painful, nor is it meant to be painful. Now, it could be a little bit tender when I'm pressing on a spot. Like you might just go, oh, wow, like I just noticed where you press. Or sometimes you might not notice anything at all, but it's not meant to be painful. Okay. Most of my patients fall asleep on me on the table. I hear lots of snoring, a lot of snort, all kinds of things. But truly, it is meant to invoke the parasympathetic nervous system state, also known as the rest and repair state or the rest and digest state. And when your body is in that state, that is when healing occurs. When we're in the sympathetic state, there's no healing. That's just basically survival mode. So the body is just trying to cope. It is so calming and it is so relaxing. And some patients will feel like vibration moving through their body. So they might feel like they're kind of like a wave in the ocean. Some people will feel like a pulse throughout their body. Sometimes people will feel heat or warmth in a certain area of the body. A lot of people will feel tingling in the head. That's also a possibility. Sometimes people don't feel anything at all. And that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. It just means that, you know what, you might not necessarily be aware of what is going on. And that's okay. But like I said, it's super chill and it's meant to be super calming and super relaxing. And most of my patients, I would say that the immediate benefit that they notice the day of a treatment, first of all, is that stress and anxiety levels are lowered. Secondly, they sleep really, really well that night. Yeah, really well. That's one of those two I would say are probably two of the biggest benefits of reflexology treatment. It's just the fact that you sleep better and you are less stressed and anxious. Yeah. So how can just a foot massage do that? Well, maybe it could. Excuse me. Yeah, maybe it could. But to be honest with you, when you're pressing on nerve endings that are related to a specific area of the body, and I'm covering your whole body from head to toe, it's kind of like you're getting a full body massage, but I'm going in through the back door, right? Like I'm going in through the nervous system level, not the muscular skeletal level, which is what happens with massage, right? It's muscular skeletal first, nervous system second. Reflexology goes the opposite way. So when you invoke the parasympathetic state, that nervous system state, then the body starts to feel into the response of relaxation. And then, of course, yes, do muscles, tissues, tendons, fascia relax? Absolutely. The whole body relaxes. The mind gets quiet, or it will often get contemplative, but not in an overactive way, but just in a super like, oh, yeah, like this is coming up for me and I can feel this in my body. And maybe I'm ready to let it go. Or maybe there's an emotion that's coming up and it's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm feeling into this emotion. I'd like to release it. Sometimes people don't feel anything at all in a treatment, other than they just say, you know what? On some level, I just feel better. And that's okay. I will tell you that the more often, the more regular you have treatments, the more your nervous system banks a memory of like, you know what? This felt really darn good and we like this and we want more of it. And your nervous system will always bank everything. It banks all the good experiences you have that calm your nervous system, but it also banks all the not so great experiences that we have, right? The flight or fright state experiences. Um, so that is really what reflexology is in a nutshell. It is more than just a foot massage. It is a full body, mind, and nervous system experience. Now, if you're lucky to live in Ottawa, this is where I'm located, you can always come and see me for a treatment. If you don't, but you're like, wow, I'm really curious about reflexology, then Google it. Find a reflexology therapist and go and have it. Because I will tell you that I could sit here for the next 4 hours telling you what reflexology is and what it does. But to be honest with you got to just try it. Like you seriously have got to just try a treatment. And then you're like, oh, now I know what this is like. And you know what? Sometimes it's not for everybody. And I've had many patients where the first time they experienced it, it just for whatever reason, they weren't in alignment with it and it didn't work. And then they came back to see me years later and all of a sudden it just all came together. So, I mean, with any alternative healing modality, it is often like that. Sometimes your body is aligned and ready right away, and sometimes it's not. So I always say, you know what? If you try something once and it doesn't work, that doesn't necessarily mean that modality is not right for you. Maybe it's just not ready and you're not ready for it right now, but that's okay. But anyways, so that is reflexology in a nutshell. We're stimulating nerve endings. Now, I don't use any dowels, any instruments. I use only my hands. And the reason why I only use my hands is because I like to feel the energy that is moving through somebody's body when I'm touching and stimulating these nerve endings. If I'm using a dowel or some kind of tool, then there's a disconnect between me and my patient. And I personally don't like that. I'm not saying that reflexology therapists that use instruments, it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that my personal preference is I like to be fully engaged with that patient. And for me, that means there needs to be some physical touch on their feet. Yeah. So, anyway, this is a short and sweet episode on the Yinning at Life podcast. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Let me know. And if you are in Ottawa and you're like, oh, I kind of like to try a treatment, I will link in my booking system link so that you can come and book a treatment with me and see what it's all about. So, anyways, short and sweet podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Namaste.